Right, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast and welcome to another League One roundup on a Wednesday afternoon. A strange recording time, but of course, we've got to cover all of the games that happened yesterday under the lights in Sky Bet League One. A few games being postponed. Some clubs didn't actually have any games in the first place, but we've got 4 selected for you today, and we'll be touching on, of course, all of the other ones as well, but 4 in real detail. Let me know in the comments section down below. Are you happy? Are you frustrated? Are you angry? Are you sick of it? I'm with you. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll be replying and responding to all of your thoughts as per usual. And yes, thank you so much. We've hit 4,000 subscribers. I can't quite believe it. I know a lot of people come on here and say, I can't believe we've done it. But I actually can't. I really can't. And that's down to you. Thank you so much for the constant, ongoing, relentless support that is just pretty mind-blowing at times. It really is. I know it's a little bit corny. I know it's a little bit... Well, no, it's not corny. It's not corny. Thank you so much. Like I say, we're now on the road to 5,000, but we've got to sort of look back and say what a 4,000 subscribers journey we've been on, if you like, and you've been amazing. You really have. If you haven't joined the journey, haven't joined the Young Fan Podcast, what are we? We're not a cult. That's too far. We are a community. Please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. That notification bell next as well will notify you when our next go live or do a recorded episode just like this one. Let's get into it. Starting off with Wycombe Wanderers against Oxford United. So it finishes Wycombe Wanderers 2, Oxford United 0. The XG for the game 0.89 to Oxford's 1.6. But of course, it's the scoreline that matters. Oxford get comfortably beaten. We do get comfortably beaten. Deja vu for Oxford at Adams Park. Last season, we lost to them 2-0 in a similar type of game, really. Last night, I had family at the game. I watched it on iFollow. I mean, it was freezing at the game, I was told. And the performance was pretty dismal from an Oxford point of view. Pretty dismal indeed. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. We go and beat Ipswich. We put in a good performance against Ipswich. You would class it as a good performance, beating a side, of course, who are at the top end of the League One table, doing really well. An abundance of talent in the squad. They battered us 3-0 a couple of weeks before we played them on Saturday. But then Tuesday, you go to Wycombe, and it's the optimism, isn't it? It's the optimism and the hope that kills you. It really is. Because we just didn't turn up. We had the majority of the ball. We had a Carl Robinson classic after the game. We played well. We didn't play well, Carl. We didn't play well. Nobody goes to Wycombe and has the possession, loses 2-0 and plays well. You have fallen for the Gareth Ainsworth Wycombe Wanderers trap again. You've done it again. Having the majority of the ball is actually a weakness against Wycombe. It is. We did a video on Sheffield Wednesday a couple of weeks ago, and we said how Sheffield Wednesday were so successful at Adams Park when they won 1-0. They allowed Wycombe to have the majority of the ball. They played them really at their own game. Oxford, we went there, naive as usual. We turn up, we go, right, we can dominate the ball. We can play it around. We can sort of play this sort of quick, non-direct, possession-based style. I understand Carl Robinson has played for, and has had quite successful moments with as Oxford United manager. But it doesn't work against Wycombe. We know that. We've had so many games against them in the past, some really important ones. I'm talking the playoff final. And also games that, this was important, but we still fall for the trap. We still fall for it every single time. And, I am sick of it. I'm sick of this win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. Inconsistency. The word is inconsistency. And this game sums up our season. It really does. We are sloppy, really sloppy. We're not tactically set up to beat an opposition like Wycombe, and we weren't in that game. It's so annoying because you go and play Ipswich and we tactically changed shape, went to a 5 at the back, and you go, right, it's a bit of a risk. It works well. Then, people go, that was a really clever tactical decision from the manager. And it did work well. We won the game 2-1. We then go to Wycombe. We play Wycombe, and we go back to a back 4, and we just do what we do every single time we play them. We can't break them down. We're absolutely hopeless in the final third. Our attacking players, they might as well not have been there. Was the service incredible? Not really. We're playing sideways passes. There's no clinical edge. That's that final ball. In the final third, we are totally useless. We sort of we get a nosebleed when we get in their penalty area. We don't know what to do. We get all confused. And that, again, has to be resolved. And the biggest concern that I have is that was the one thing that, in the last couple of years, as an Oxford United fan, under Carl Robinson, you've gone, well, at least there's that. At least there's that. But this season, really, that has been a massive downfall. That's been a huge downfall. There's been some games we've done quite well, and this game screams out for the lack of a striker that we need. We need a lack of a striker. Excuse me. We need a striker. We really, really do. You know, we need somebody that's going to come in and going to provide us something a little bit different in that number 9 position. We had a two strike force of Yannick and Bowden in against Ipswich. It sort of worked. Yannick worked, Bowden a little bit quiet. We then go back to a single striker. We go with Cole Joseph leading the line. Didn't really get into the game. Didn't have many opportunities. Yannick, bright sparks, but again, he's quite a frustrating player sometimes. I like Yannick. I think he actually brings I think he's a bit of a breath of fresh air, but I think he does have those moments of brilliance, but generally, on the whole, didn't really get the game, get hold of the game, should I say. Billy Bowden, a little bit similar. Midfield-wise, apparently won the midfield battle. We didn't win the midfield battle. No chance on earth. Scowen and Wheeler ran the show in there. Marcus McGuane, Brannigan, Lewis Bate, they were okay. They're okay, but they didn't win the midfield battle. You know, if we won the game, you'd say they did okay. If you lost the game like we did, you'd probably say they did okay. You know, it was one of those performances from them. In the big games, you needed to step up. I've just dropped the pen. Shot the pen. There you go. And they didn't step up, which is annoying. Kieran Brown, Sam Long, Elliot Moore, that sort of back four. I mean, Anderson had a really, really difficult night. He got booked really early on in the game, which I don't think helped them, or helped him really either. 25 minutes in, he got that booking, but again, you're then... I mean, the second goal, he got massively exposed. I mean, it was a turnover, it was a breakaway, we got caught in transition, but Mehmeti came forward. We know his talent, and he again was so good. So impressive. I mean, him on the ball, he is a nightmare. So tricky. And the reason why I mentioned that back four, and I'm going through players and positions by position, which is something I don't normally do, is because that front three struggled, didn't really get in the game. Midfield struggled, didn't really get in the game. Definitely didn't win the midfield battle. Aspects of good moments. Lewis Bate had a couple of his sort of trademark runs, energy. You definitely can't fault the work rate, but you need more than work rate. You need quality. You know, we need quality in these types of games, and unfortunately, we didn't have that, and we haven't had that. And then you look at that back four, Kieran Brown again. You sort of argue maybe he should have done better with the Sam Vokes goal, but it was down that left-hand side anyway. It got cut back, and again, we got caught massively. It is his back post, it is his post that he has to defend, and he didn't do that, so he has to sort of take some responsibility for that. Sam Long, Elliot Moore, again, fine, didn't really put a foot wrong. Anderson, like I say, he did struggle, and I think he did. This is the type of game where you can't really be that maverick, exciting right wing back. You can't do that because you will get caught out. They've got players that will come at you, and they'll come at you and they'll smell blood. I think that sometimes Anderson, they knew that he is a bit of a live wire, but if you get him in the wrong position, they can cause you a lot of problems. They can punish you, and they did. The goal, the first one anyway, sort of came from his side. Second one also was sort of down that right hand side as well. So that is a problem. And again, what could have we done differently? I mean, maybe you put Sam Long at right back for this type of game, and you move Stuart Finley back in centre half. But I understand he's not been in great form, and Anderson as well. You can't. Anderson has been very good, and you would start him in this type of game. But I think we've actually seen you start him based on form, but you sort of look at the way that it actually went. You go, yeah. You're not massively surprised because he is a little bit... I mean, he's still getting used to the league. And that has to be taken into consideration. And playing Wycombe as well, I mean, that is a tough one to get your teeth into straight away, isn't it, really? I don't think he actually played in the first time we played Wycombe. He might have done, but even so, this is a different breed, different kettle of fish. Possession stats, like I already said, I don't want to repeat myself, but 60% possession. Does that surprise you? No. 19 shots, 2 on target. 2 on target from 19. And what did we say last time about Wycombe? They would have less of the ball, but they'll try and have as many shots as they can, and they'll try and have more shots on target. Yes, we beat them by 8 shots in total, but again, shots on target, they're 3 more. Unacceptable. How can you have 7 less shots or 8 less shots and have, allow them to sort of pop that many important balls towards your goalkeeper? I mean, Simon Israel made a couple of good saves. We have moments. Billy Bowden had a couple of opportunities. One in particular comes to mind, but generally nothing that much. We had a couple of corners again, but didn't really ever threaten them. Look at the graph there. Again, yes, we were in control, but you can't go 1-0 down against Wycombe. You can't go 1-0 down, and we saw that. So the Tractor Boys get back to winning ways with a 4-0 win over Morecambe. The XG for the game, 1.57 to Morecambe's at 0.21. Convincing, control, professional. A very good performance from Kieran McKenna's side. 4 goals in the first half, 4-0 at the break. Not as many goals in the second 45, but the job was done. And you look at it and you go, this is Ipswich saying we're not out of this race. We're not giving up on this title charge. Morecambe's XG of 0.21 suggests they didn't really ever have a sniff. And that has to be, of course, a bit of a concern. Will they ever expect to get anything from this game? Possibly not. They'd be hoping to sort of maybe weave anything from it. That would be a really big bonus. Like many clubs when they go to Portman Road. But as an Oxford United fan, I feel with you, Morecambe. I understand, because we've been there. We've been absolutely battered. They've had the majority of the ball, and they've looked ruthless every time they come forward. It looks as though you're going to concede every time they have the ball in the attacking phase, which, by looking at the graph, was quite an often occurrence. You can see by the starting 11, probably now, their best side, other than maybe, you probably wouldn't have Richard Kerr in there. You probably would bring in Donasian or maybe someone else in there, Edmondson and probably actually Wolfenden would probably come in, wasn't he? I guess maybe he's suspended or injured. Clark making his first start since the move from Arsenal. A pretty standard middle four there, Wes Burns and Leif Davis. Nathan Broadhead getting his first start, I believe, as well. I know he came on against Oxford, but we know his quality. He's done it in League One before. He done it for Sunderland just last season when he was on loan there. He was really, really good. Quick. Again, the finish on that player is also exceptional. Ladapo and Connor Chaplin also making up that front three. I mean, that is a dangerous front three, isn't it? You can see why Morecambe would struggle. And like I say, as an Oxford United fan, I can sympathise with it. It's not nice. We've been there when they look unstoppable. And yesterday, I think that probably would be the case. You can see that first half was something quite spectacular from Kieran McKenna's boys. And it comes back to statement. I mean, we saw Kieran McKenna against Oxford United on Saturday getting a little bit of stick from his supporters. I get it. It was a pretty disappointing outing. They didn't play very well. They lost the game, horrible conditions, and it wasn't. And again, their run of 4 games without a win, of course, is very, very concerning. In a title charge where it is very competitive with Sheffield Wednesday and Plymouth winning games, you can see why there's frustration. But they were back to their best yesterday. They really, really were. And I think Kieran McKenna knew that there wasn't pressure on but there wasn't pressure. I mean, there always is pressure, but there wasn't serious pressure. But there needed to be a reaction. And after 4 games without winning a game, you have to sort of show that you're not going to give up. You're not going to sort of fall away, because there's sort of signs of that. But yesterday, they certainly made sure that wasn't the case. Little look at the stats as well. I mean, it was very dominant. Look how much green it is on that left-hand side. Pretty much in every single area, they were better than Morecambe. Had more of potential shots, for example. 61% possession to 39, so dominant on the ball. 90 shots to 4, 0 shots on target. Probably where the 0.21 XG for Morecambe comes into play. 0 shots on target. Not ideal. 9 shots, of course, for Ipswich. 4 shots off target as well. So, yeah, generally very, very dominant and sort of pelting the goalkeeper and that defence of Morecambe. A tough day and evening for them. 21st in the league now in that bottom 4, but yeah, very, very close. Again, 3 wins on the bounce before this game makes it, of course, a little bit less disappointing and concerning, because, actually they were sort of getting a little bit of rhythm before this game. Not a nice game to continue unbeaten and it was a quite powerful run out of that bottom 4 after what looked like a pretty dead and buried relegation-filled season for Morecambe. But fair play, they sort of have had a bit of a redemption in the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, though, yesterday, a little bit too much to ask. Congratulations to Ipswich, of course, we can see as well, 54 points, only 4 points off Sheffield Wednesday, because they have got a game in hand. When looking at the exact same amount of games as Plymouth now, they have got, 7 points away. So, again, it's tight, but they would hope that it could have been a little bit less than that. But that disappointing run before that win yesterday, of course, plays a big part in that. But there we go. It finishes Ipswich 4, Morecambe 0. Convincing, controlled. They did the job very, very well. Right then, let's move over to Bolton. Where is the game? Here it is. Bolton 1, Forest Green Rovers 0. We'll come on to the graph. A little bit of a surprise. Until I did my research and delved into this game, I wasn't expecting to see that type of attacking momentum graph, but there we go. That's why you look at it more than just the scoreline. XG as well, 0.34. Again, that does paint quite an interesting picture. Forest Green Rovers, 1.17. Forest Green Rovers have just sacked their manager Ian Bushnell as well. That's a bit of breaking news story on this Wednesday afternoon. Based on results, it was coming. Based on league position being rock bottom of the league, you can't really, and he can't really argue with it. Bolton, though, I mean, there's more to this game than just a 1-0 win. Of course, that red card played a massive, massive part. Bolton took the lead quite early on. You can see 6 minutes in, Dion Charles, and then he got sent off in the 28th minute for violent conduct. And then the complexion of the game completely turned on its head. You can see after that, Forest Green Rovers, quite rightly, smelt a little bit of blood. They were ready to take this Bolton Wanderers side down based on the fact they had that extra man, they had that advantage. But the final product, the final third, was a huge reason why they couldn't do it. They had the ball, 62% possession, I think it was. Yeah, 62% possession against Bolton on the road. 12 shots to 4 on target. They probably needed to do a little bit more with the shots, and probably they could have had a bit more shots just in total, really, than just the 12. But certainly more on target. You've got to have more than 4 from 12. Ideally, you want to be hitting at least half. Possibly more. But you can see by looking at the graph as well, really, really dominant. Second half, hardly gave Bolton a kick in at all. Really, really dominant. And I think that's again down to the fact that they thought they could take this Bolton Wanderers down and take advantage of the fact they did have that extra man, but they weren't able to. Bolton defended really, really well, held strong. Of course, played a little bit deeper in the game, but you can also see as well average positions. You can see it here. Bolton fairly compact for the majority of the game. Forest Green Rovers as well. You can see a little bit more, even more compact, really. And again, you look at how deep their strikers are. That's a problem. That is a bit of a problem. In a game like this, you need to be more spread out. Those wing backs need to be higher. 21, 21 is there. What's 28? 28 is Josh March playing as that striker in that front three. He's that deep. Again, in a game like that, in a game where you really are thinking about smelling blood, you've got to play, less compact than that. I spoke about Bolton being compact because they're defending deep, but Forest Green Rovers, that's the quality difference. That is the quality difference. And Bolton, they had to hold on, but they did. They got the job done. You can see by looking at the league table, after frustrating Bolton Wanderers' defeat against Derby County at the weekend, they got the result that they needed. Dion Charles being sent off, of course, is a little bit of a frustration. They have got other strikers, of course. Dan Ladulu came in on loan from Southampton. By looking at the league table now, 47 points to 50, of course, of Derby. Derby County do have one game in hand on them. But back to winning ways, that's the most important thing. Was it the most glamorous of results of Bolton? Certainly not. Because Forest Green Rovers could they have done more with the fact they did have a bit of an advantage there? Yes, definitely. And frustration comes to mind for Forest Green Rovers, much like the majority of their season. And of course, like I said, right at the start, Ian Birchnell has lost his job based on not just that game, but again, the fact they are bottom of the league and are really, really quite struggling. Right then, let's move on over to the final game. So the final game we'll be speaking about in real detail. Fleetwood 0, Pompey 2. The XG for the game 0.86 to Portsmouth's 1.27. John Mousinho earns back-to-back wins in the dugout of Portsmouth. And as well, his 100% win record only does continue. The Messiah, should I say. Am I going to say that after every single positive result? Maybe. It feels right. But all jokes aside, he's doing really, really well. And seeing improvement in a squad that a couple of weeks ago could be described as nothing less than dejected. Absolutely dejected of confidence, of quality. It was a real concern. A real, real problem. And John Mousinho has come in. He's been that breath of fresh air. And look, certainly not the final product. Certainly not all the aspects that he wanted to materialise as a manager. But there's building blocks there. There's building blocks, and there's a manager who's only been in the door, a week? Not even a week. That has to be seen as a positive. And a result, away to Fleetwood, although Fleetwood's home record hasn't been very good, this is a difficult game. We know Fleetwood will cause problems. We know they've got the ability in that squad to be difficult, to be very, very difficult. And Oxford, we struggled against Fleetwood. We know the difficulties that they face. Pompey as well, they will be fully aware of that, and they win the game 2-0 and do a really, really good job. You can see by looking at the first 45 minutes, Pompey took a while to get a real hold of the game, then did get going. You can see by looking at when the goal came a little bit later on in the half, not when they had the better and the most amount of the attacking momentum. Fleetwood a couple of glimpses in that first half, but just before half time it's 1-0, and of course it is Colby Bishop after 43 minutes. Joe Morrell, handball in the 68th minute. From a high to a bit of a low for Joe Morrell. Of course, scored not the prettiest of goals against who they played, Exeter, on Saturday. But Joe Morrell, we all love Joe Morrell. We all do. I'm not a Pompey fan, but I love him. I think he's an excitable figure who actually as well is now getting the licence under John Mousinho to express himself. Not in that way, not ideally in a red card fashion, but still. He did very well on Saturday. Of course, disappointed to be sent for an early bath in the 68th minute. And then in the 83rd minute, Joe Pigott makes it 2-0. Easily when you go down to 10 men at only 1-0, Fleetwood can pile on that pressure and Pompey can sit back, they can play really low, they can sort of basically hang around the edge of the penalty area, which is very, very dangerous. But the maturity of a John Mousinho side right now of let's play a really high line, let's squeeze them out of the game, don't allow Fleetwood to keep pushing forward, don't just keep naturally dropping back because we're under pressure, because before you know it, you're going to be well and truly in your penalty area and they're going to be pelting balls in for the majority of the game. And you then have to defend your lives, for the remaining of the game. And that is not what you want to do. Not what you want to do whatsoever. You don't want to allow balls being pumped into the penalty area and then have to just clear it for them to just do it again. That is the worst thing you can do in that situation. And a lot of clubs would do that. But I think now a bit of confidence coming through. I think actually a couple of weeks ago, Pompey would have done that. But I think there has been progression since then. Fleetwood did actually have a little bit of a spell after the red card, but then, crucially, really, really important goal from Joe Pigott in the 83rd minute. Seals the deal, seals the points, and the long journey from Pompey to Fleetwood is worth it. It is worth it. Like I said, Fleetwood's home record is a problem. It is a bit of a problem. In fact, their recent form isn't ideal either. 3 straight defeats, 29 points, 27 games played. Pompey now back up to 10th, from 15th to 10th. What a night it was for them. And of course, they've also got games in hand as well. Things are, potentially getting slowly back on track, like I say, and I emphasise this. Of course, they are not the finished product, and we don't want to jump on it too early. Keep it calm, be collected with our assessment, but what we can do is look at what we've seen in the last couple of days and the last couple of games, and that is a real level of refreshment across that squad. And John Mousinho has brought that. You can see by looking at the possession stats as well, 50% possession, but 15 shots to 14 and more shots on target. In fact, quite a few more, 7-3. But like I say, 10th now, Fleetwood 17th. Like I said, I don't fear them to go down. I really, really don't. There is quality in that squad, but their home form, sorry, I do it every single time, Fleetwood, but again, look at that, 23rd in the league, only 2 points off MK Dons, who have an even worse home record. So yeah, we know the problems at Fleetwood. There has been improvement, but Pompey, really importantly for them, saw through the difficult obstacles that may be faced against them and prevailed. Won the game 2-0. Let's touch on the other ones as well. Wasn't many others, to be honest with you. Sheffield Wednesday, their game got called off against Cheltenham. Plymouth didn't actually have a game ever scheduled. There was another game postponed as well. I've completely forgotten it. It was... That wasn't meant to happen, was it? No, that's next weekend. That'll be why that didn't happen. Cheltenham, Sheffield Wednesday, Exeter, Barnsley. That was quite a late call, actually, wasn't it? Accrington, Plymouth. That was never actually scheduled, I don't believe. That wasn't a frozen pitch. Burton was. Have we touched on all of those? We have touched on all those, other than Port Vale Derby. You can see, a 2-1 win for Derby. Really, really good. Port Vale actually now 2 straight defeats, I believe. Is that right? I think they lost to Peterborough. That was their last game. I think it is. Yes, I am doubting myself there slightly. Derby 4th now. They are on a real roll. A real roll. They look like a side that are, again, going to be making it very, very interesting for the sides in that top 3. They're going to try and push and be part of that mix. And the recent performances, recent results, suggest they're going to be well up for the fight. You can see Port Vale did have their moments, but Derby, they saw through it. Actually, 2 very late goals. Port Vale took the lead. 2 extremely important goals in the last sort of 10 minutes. In fact, nearly injury time, was it 87-89, McGoldrick and Mendez-Lang. So 2 really important late goals, but good form, good run. Things are looking pretty at Derby County, and like I say, they're going to be sort of pushing through and into that top 3. That'll be their hope. We spoke about that one. We don't need to speak about that again, thankfully. MK Dons against Shrewsbury Town, 1-0. Shrewsbury on fire at the moment. Absolutely on fire. MK Dons struggling again, aren't they? Struggling. I thought against Forest Green Rovers and they won that game 2-1. That could be the real push. That could be the confidence. That could be the maybe letting the handbrake off a little bit. But unfortunately not. They lost at home to Shrewsbury, and we spoke about their home record. The only side that are worse than Fleetwood. They're not very good at all at home. And you look at their situation, it's getting a little bit nervy, isn't it? Although they're out of that about that bottom 4 with 25 points, only 1 point separates themselves from Morecambe and Cambridge, who are 21st and 22nd. So that is a problem, and that is something that Mark Jackson is going to be looking to resolve as soon as possible. As for Shrewsbury now, amazing what a couple of wins can do. We speak about it all the time, but this league is so open. You win a couple of games, just straight back in there. 3 very good wins actually. 4-0, 5-1, and now a 1-0 away from home. 38 points. Shrewsbury now, players coming back fit. confidence is high, things are looking good. So that does wrap up this match week's roundup. Thank you very, very much for watching, and as well, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for allowing us to hit 4,000 subscribers. Unbelievable achievement, and that's down to you hitting that subscribe button and showing relentless support. Like I said at the start, it couldn't be possible without you, and thank you. Generally thank you. I don't say it enough. I don't get the opportunity to say it enough, so this is it now. Thank you very, very much, and I mean, there'll hopefully be many more thank yous in the future, because the next one is 5,000. I'm sure we'll have little other milestones on the road before that, but yeah, amazing stuff. So, like I say, for the final time of this episode, thank you. Until next time, though, stay safe, take care. I've been Jack. This has been the Young Fan Podcast. I'll see you all very, very soon. We've got a couple of games. Well, actually, got more than a couple, but we got some games this weekend. It is FA Cup weekend. And then the following one, we're back to sort of full schedule. Everyone's back on the pitch. That should be okay. And hopefully, the temperature rises as well. So we don't have any games postponed for frozen pitches. That was frustrating. Thankfully, Oxford wasn't affected by it. But of course, you know, there were other clubs that unfortunately weren't able to play games. In fact, you know, sometimes there were teams that couldn't play on the Saturday and even on the Tuesday as well. So frustrating times. But anyway, back to it. Take care, and yeah, speak very soon. Take care.